I think my memoir started not knowing where the end would be. And I'm a writer first and foremost, and that's what most people don't know about me. And so this was a way for me to express my emotions and show that no matter what we're going through, any struggle, loss, tragedy, mental illness, anything, that even if you feel like you've broken and there's no step to make the next day, that there is always something on the other side of broken. And to me, it was the unconditional love that I felt not only for Ben and from Ben, but for my husband and just for others who are struggling in general. So that was the purpose of my book, really, to bring the light to other people and help others. I stated in the beginning of the memoir, the reason it took me this long to publish it is because I am a practicing attorney, and because of stigma in society and discrimination, honestly, across the board. It's really hard to be professional and be honest about who you are, that you're struggling with something like bipolar. I've struggled my whole life with mental illness, lived in silence for so long, and I've run away from who I am and accepting myself. And when Ben passed away, and then all the trauma that ensued with that, the investigation, everything that we went through, I felt like it was finally a time for me to stop running. And, we had to move to Colorado to get away from media after he was charged, et cetera. But when I got out there, that's when I really started the grieving process and going through, cycling, depression. It was a big struggle that next year. So I finally, when I did hit rock bottom, it was a wake-up call for me of, this is who I am. I'm going to accept myself. This is Ben's love for me and love that he can give me. And that really was the moment where I could come full circle and really understand unconditional love. It's a transformative process to admit that we're imperfect and we're powerless in some ways with what we're born with. And we have the ability to succeed in life and do so much for other people. But, we do have to recognize that we are powerless in some way and that we are imperfect. And that was part of my journey with Kyle, recognizing his imperfection in the end, and then also linking that to my own imperfection, which is really the unconditional love that we have for each other and our ability to support each other. This story cannot go in chronological order because I feel like Cal and I have lived parallel paths, but they're at different times. And I think the overarching question that most people could not understand in 2014 is, how could I stand by him through that? And to really understand, as we go through the story of what happened with Ben, the reader also has to simultaneously understand what I went through when I was in my 20s and how Cal supported me. So that is definitely the way I set the book out to achieve that. One of the lessons I've learned is that love between individuals, whether it's a spouse, a friend, or even yourself, can change over time, which it absolutely happened with my husband. But I think for myself, I grew up always thinking I had to be a certain way. I had to achieve certain things. I had to be an attorney. I had to do these things. I had to have the perfect family. This was going to be our life. And I love myself for the wrong reasons. And I think because of that, I never really was able to love myself for who I truly am, which is a writer, a person with deep emotions and spirit, somebody who's bipolar and struggles. And so through this process over the year after Ben's passing, it really enabled me to love myself in a different way, which was liberating. And I think it's to get to that point in life and actually be free and liberated is something that is very valuable. Kyle's expressed before that he knew I had to go through the deep grief and lack of understanding of how this could happen, which at some times, especially in the few months after Ben passed, was me being really upset with him, verbally expressing my disbelief and how could this happen. And then I had to let him go through his own parallel path of dealing with it, with his own guilt and grief. And I think by allowing both of us to truly feel emotions, we were able to somehow stick together through these years to really try to heal together. But you can't achieve that if you hide your emotions.